Hi, I'm Matthew, and I'm back on a Manly podcast. Tonight, we're checking into the Overlook Hotel with Diane Arbus's twins, a child actors only film, and Dick Halloran, played by Scatman Crothers, the voice of Scat Cat in The Aristocats. A Manly podcast in 2026 is all about cleaning, cats, and of course, deep dives into awesome movies. Last month, I went to see The Shining in IMAX, and it was like watching an entirely new film. I didn't appreciate this one enough, and I never thought I would say that about a movie that, for us millennials, was always playing on TV. We'll mostly talk about movies coming out now, or that have come out recently, but for this new twist on my podcast, I wanted to talk about a now old classic that turns the volume up against the quiet backdrop of laundries, purrs, and washing dishes. The Shining is a film almost everyone knows, and for me, personally, it's better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
I love most of that movie, but it kind of falls apart at the end. It gets too godlike, trying to create some weird, ethereal, spiritual ending, whereas The Shining is a much more honest film. It's also a lot better than Stephen King's novel, who gave Kubrick a skeleton he made important changes to flesh out a better movie from. The colors are incredible in The Shining, and even with the great tools for color grading these days, it's leagues above most films because of its constraint in allowing the color palette to reinforce and push forward the story. When Jack Torrance is first interviewed for the caretaker position at the Overlook, he wears an identical tie to the hotel manager, except his is green and the manager's is red. The ties have strange textures, almost like they were cut out of a cozy blanket. When we first meet Wendy and Danny, they both have red in their clothes, and this shows that they are already literally living in Jack's world under his control. One of the main themes of The Shining is domestic abuse and domestic violence. We learn that Jack hurt Danny's shoulder not long ago, exacerbated by his alcoholism, and we also know he was let go from a school back east, where he was an English teacher. He convinces Wendy after being sober for 6 months that he's all better. Their move to Boulder, Colorado was the change they needed, and he's now on the path to being a good husband and a good father. Getting the job as a caretaker at the Overlook will provide for them financially and give them the quiet family bonding time they need to grow closer together. Everything seems to be falling into place for Jack, and yet at the same moment that Jack calls to tell Wendy he's got the job, Danny has a telekinetic episode that warns him of the danger at the Overlook. He knows where the story is going, but no one's going to believe some 8-year-old seizure and nosebleed as evidence that Jack should keep looking for another job. After all, he and his family get to spend the winter in a fancy hotel in the mountains, with only a few odds and ends to take care of. Jack sees himself as the man, the provider and breadwinner of the family, and Wendy as the caretaker of his son Danny. His image of the Torrances as a whole is traditional. In some ways, he's not so different from a man's traditional patriarchal worldview in the 19th century, moving his family west on an expedition to settle on supposedly free land that was often in an Indian tribe's territory. Throughout the movie, they mention the Donner Party as well. The Overlook Hotel is built on an Indian burial ground. The dead that already rest underground suggests a curse or haunting that is more ancient than just when the hotel opened. There are multiple references to indigenous people throughout the film, from a stereotypical depiction of an Indian chief on a large can in the kitchen, to designs and patterns on Wendy's clothes from tribes in the American Southwest. The irony is that Jack is nothing more to the hotel than a ripe candidate for being pushed over the edge into insanity. It only takes about a month till he's staring like a nut into the camera. Wendy is the only one ever seen doing any of the caretaking duties, and the only one who plays with her son Danny. Jack is working on a novel. His passion is writing, and his life's dream is to be a writer. But later we learn that he's been writing the same sentence over and over and over, just changing the formatting of the text from page to page.
How do you like it?
For the last two-thirds of the film, he wears a red snow jacket, showing the hotel has completely infected his mind, and he just needs a little persuasion from the hotel itself, the hotel spirits, to kill his wife and son. But he's not even good at that. The only person he kills ends up being the head chef Dick Halloran, who courageously gets up to the hotel in the snowstorm to save the boy and his mother. Halloran's death, though, gives the two of them enough time to escape Jack's capture, because that's, of course, the bathroom scene.
Here's Johnny!
He's about to chop up Wendy in the bathroom, but then he gets distracted by Halloran's snowmobile outside and has to check it out. Halloran's death gives the two of them enough time to escape Jack's capture and end up getting away on that same snow truck. What makes Nicholson's performance as Torrance so good is that despite being this rather mediocre man, he has all the charisma in the world. The ballroom scene with Lloyd at the bar and Grady in the bathroom is one of the most lurid and menacing scenes in any horror movie. On IMAX, the red bathroom was absolutely gorgeous, and that bright red contrasted so nicely with the darker red that gushes down the hallway into the main lobby from the elevators. The way Lloyd speaks to him with friendliness, deference, and an air of understated power leaves Nicholson room to fall into this character who's going down a rabbit hole in real time. After Wendy learns the truth of his novel, the camera follows him out into the main lobby where he's been writing. A white man asking for uninterrupted silence for months on end with the biggest room in the whole place, of course. We see Wendy in terrorized fear as she learns of how deranged her husband has become. The camera flips back and forth from each of their point of views, following them up the grand staircase till she whacks him and he falls down the stairs, hitting his head. This contrasts with an earlier scene in this same room where Wendy and Danny are watching a movie called Summer of 42 as a snowstorm rolls in. Summer of 42 is a coming-of-age romance story about a young boy who sleeps with an older woman on the night her husband dies in combat. The day after they sleep together, she has deserted her house and left a note for him. The film's tone is sentimental, but haunting in some ways, and it's about an island in the summer. Still an isolated place, but with some form of community and a season where people enjoy spending time outside. On the TV screen in the daylight is this fantastical version of an illusory, almost innocent happiness for Wendy and Danny, a home on an island where they can spend their summers saying hi to neighbors and feeling the breeze of the ocean. In the Overlook Hotel itself, there is only death and portents of violence. The red and green playing off one another in the film give way to gorgeous yellow and blues. That's what's so great about the color palette in this film. The contrasting colors both show how deadly and ominous and haunting the hotel is, but they also have a lot of beauty to them, and especially in the way the different shades of yellow or red are shown, it shows that they can be, for instance, with the yellow, it can be both sickly and very summery or bright and vibrant and happy. Or with the reds, it can be bright and vibrant and almost exciting. The colors, the bathroom colors, for instance, are almost like one is in a very fancy club or a very, well, I guess they are in a very fancy hotel, a five-star hotel. But then on the other side, they can be very dark and very horror-ish with the blood gushing down the hallway from the elevators. And that glorious snow piled so high right along the hotel in the warm blue moonlight that bathes the whole final scene, the conclusion, with a sparkly glow that shows both how cold and isolated the mountains are, but how beautiful they are. Jack Torrance gets lost in the maze, just as he's lost in his own mind, and the hotel completely consumes him as the final photograph shows, etching him into a party from the 1920s, etching him into the hotel's history. There's a structure to the camera work in this film that makes it so riveting, from the sweeping opener over the lake to his car heading up the mountains for his job interview, or even a stationary shot of him in the ballroom at the bar. And of course, one can't forget the scenes of us following Danny around the hotel on his scooter, going through the long hallways and seeing the ghosts for the first time as well. This is a film that will only get better with age. A horror movie that, despite how well known it is, how many people make reference to it, they made reference to it in Zootopia 2 even, it's one of those singular works of art where it all kind of glues together like a great piece of poetry. Is it really worth watching The Shining again if you've seen it a bunch of times? Maybe a yes, maybe a no for you, but you'll definitely learn something or see something new that you didn't see the first time, and that's what makes films fun to watch. Thanks so much for watching a Manly podcast. Please subscribe. And also, next time I'll be talking about The Mastermind, Kelly Reichardt's new film that I recently watched on Mubi and really enjoyed.